All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today we're going to decode the master blueprint that keeps these massive, complex projects from completely falling apart. It's called the interface management process. If you've ever wondered how mega projects actually stay on track, well, this is the secret sauce. It's the kind of question that keeps project managers up at night, right? When you've got dozens of contractors, hundreds of teams, and literally thousands of moving parts, how in the world do you make sure everything connects perfectly, on time and on budget? And look, the difference is just night and day. On one side, you've got total chaos. Parts show up that don't fit, schedules just blow up, and budgets spiral out of control. But on the other side, it's like a perfectly conducted symphony. And the secret ingredient that makes that happen is a really robust control system. Okay, so let's dig into that control system. I want you to think of interface management as the air traffic control for your entire project. Its job is to make sure every single plane, or in our case, every single deliverable, lands safely and in exactly the right sequence. So here's the official definition, straight from the source. It's a structured process for managing every single connection point where different scopes of work bump into each other. And we're not just talking about physical things like pipes and wires here. We're talking about data, about teams, and about who is responsible for what. And this right here is probably the most important thing to get. This isn't some set it and forget it kind of task. No way. It's a living, breathing process that has to evolve. New connection points pop up, schedules shift, and the whole system has to adapt. Constantly, from the very beginning to the very end. Okay, to actually run this system, you're going to need the right tools. And, you've got to speak the language. So let's break down the essential building blocks you'll be using to manage all of these complex connections. So first up, we've got the who. These are the interface parties. It's pretty straightforward. The requester is the team that needs something, and the supplier is the team that has to provide it. It's super simple but really powerful because it assigns crystal clear responsibility. All right, next up is the where, the interface point, or IP for short. This is the exact spot, the literal boundary where two different parts of the project touch. It can be a physical flange connecting two massive pipes, or it could be a technical boundary, like where two software systems need to exchange data. And to make sure that connection actually works, you have the what and when, the interface agreement, or IA. Think of it like a mini contract for just that one single connection point. It spells out exactly what's needed, who's providing it, and the hard deadline. So this slide kind of puts it all together, showing you the whole hierarchy. It all kicks off with the interface parties. That's our who. Their jobs are laid out in the scope package, which is basically the rule book. That lets us pinpoint the specific interface points, the where. Then, for each of those points, we create a formal interface agreement detailing the what and when. And if any questions come up along the way, they're handled through an interface query. See how it flows? It's a really logical top-down process, from people all the way down to specific actions. Okay, let's jump into phase one and see how this all gets built from the ground up. Before a single bolt is ordered, you have to create the blueprint for success. This is all about the prep work, right? Setting the stage before the real action starts. So this whole setup phase really breaks down into three key stages. First, you assess, which means mapping out every single potential connection you can think of. Then you select. You refine that map and sketch out a preliminary plan. And finally, you define, where you lock in that plan and formalize every known interface before the real work even begins. And while you're in this planning phase, you're basically looking for two main flavors of interfaces. Physical ones are the things you can literally walk up and touch, like a pipeline connection. Then you've got the technical, or soft connections, like the exchange of engineering drawings or data between control systems. And let me tell you, both are absolutely critical to get right. All right, now we're getting to the exciting part, the execution stage. The blueprint's done, the project is officially in the air. This is where your system goes from a plan to a living, breathing tool for day-to-day management. This is our in-flight control. Okay, and this right here, this is the beating heart of the whole system, the interface register. It's the central dashboard where you track every single connection. For instance, just look at the table. You can see P001-A. It's in progress, looking good, on track. But then, look at E045C. It's already overdue. The forecast date has blown past the need date, so it's flagged. This isn't just a spreadsheet, it's an early warning system for potential delays. Now here's the thing. Not all interfaces are created equal. Not even close. They get prioritized by how critical they are. A level 1 interface, that's a big deal. If that's late, it could have a huge, high-impact knock-on effect for the entire project. This helps everybody focus their energy where it really, really matters most. A system that's moving this fast, it absolutely depends on constant communication. That's why the rule book says you have to have these interface meetings at least once a month. This isn't a suggestion, it's a hard requirement to get ahead of problems before they start to snowball. So what happens when two teams just can't agree? Or a deadline is about to be missed? Simple. You escalate. This quote from the source material just nails it. You don't let problems sit and fester. If an interface isn't performing, it has to be pushed up the chain, fast, to get a resolution. All right, we've planned the flight, we've managed it in the air, now it's time for a perfect landing. Let's talk about how you formally close everything out, making sure all the work is done, documented, and officially signed off on. And closing out is every bit as structured as the setup was. There's a clear 4-step sequence. First, the requester confirms they got what they needed, so the agreement gets closed. Then, any open questions get resolved and closed. After that, the entire interface point itself is formally closed out. And finally, it's all bundled up in a final report. And that final paperwork, it's absolutely crucial for creating the project's permanent record. You've got the complete dossier, the as-built drawings, but honestly, the real gold is often in that lessons learned report. This is where you capture what worked and what didn't, creating this amazing knowledge base that's going to make your next project run even smoother. So, at the end of the day, what's the big takeaway here? It's simple, really. Interface management is your project's air traffic control. Without it, you are flying completely blind. This whole process gives you the visibility, the accountability, and the control you need for a safe landing. So the real question to ask yourself is your project's air traffic control cleared for takeoff?